Now on the CTV News at 5, the Alberta government makes changes to its controversial book ban. Plus, the Premier calls for teachers to return to the bargaining table. And Bow Island emergency department hours are extended.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. We're glad you could join us. Alberta's school book ban has been rewritten to only apply to images and illustrations of explicit sexual acts, not written descriptions. Education Minister Dimitrios Nicolaides says visual depictions were always the government's main concern. School boards have until the end of October to provide the government with a list of books they plan to remove under the new order. Nicolaides says the list won't need approval, but the government wants a chance to review them and provide guidance if needed. Boards originally had until the end of the month to remove books containing images, illustrations, audio, and written passages with sexually explicit content. Now, in protest to that original order and the cataloging of all books without additional funding from the province, Edmonton's Public School Board issued a list of 200 books that it would have to remove, including Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, prompting widespread criticism and ire from Atwood herself. A 12-year-old boy accused of trying to kill his younger brother in Lethbridge has been ordered to remain in custody and undergo psychiatric, physical, and risk assessments. The boy is accused of repeatedly stabbing his 7-year-old brother at the family's North Lethbridge home on August 27th. According to investigators, the boy claimed that a man came into their home and stabbed the younger boy and then took off. The 12-year-old is also charged with aggravated assault. The boy cannot be identified under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. The injured boy is continuing to recover after being airlifted to a hospital in Edmonton. The case returns to court October the 7th. Well, the self-proclaimed Queen of Canada is being released from custody after a bail hearing in a Swift Current court today. But the judge has imposed some pretty stiff conditions. 50-year-old Romano Didelot must remain at a Regina home, not have any contact with alleged victims, or have any weapons. She's charged with breaching a court order and attempting to intimidate a justice system participant. Called a cult leader for heading up her Kingdom of Canada group, Didelot is a conspiracy theorist who has threatened to kill opponents, says she has communicated with aliens, and is funded by many followers. She and 16 others were arrested last week at a Richmond, Saskatchewan compound an hour east of Medicine Hat. She is representing herself and will be back in court September the 17th. The body of a third hiker who went over a waterfall near Kimberley, BC has now been recovered. The 35-year-old man's body was found Sunday. He died along with 2 family members after they went over the falls at Meechin Creek on Labor Day weekend. The other 2 hikers were a 68-year-old woman whose body was found September 1st and a 35-year-old woman whose body was recovered the following day. Kimberley RCMP say all 3 were Mexican citizens. Firefighters in Lethbridge are sounding the alarm about the issue of violence towards firefighter paramedics while on duty. The Lethbridge Firefighters Association has joined the International Association of Firefighters to call on the federal government for stronger protection. Carson Marsouk reports.
The Lethbridge Firefighters Association is calling on the federal government to implement stronger protections against frontline firefighter paramedics.
We are seeing an increase of both physical and verbal abuse and assaults on our membership, and we felt it was in our best interest to speak up.
The association says its members continue to deal with violence when responding to calls, whether from the patient, a family member, or bystander.
Our members' lives are at risk. It takes away from our ability to provide life-saving care to our community. So this is more of a community issue and a firefighter safety issue.
The International Association of Firefighters was close to having Bill C-321 amended, which would change the Criminal Code of Canada to cause harsher penalties for those assaulting first responders. But the change in legislation was defeated when government was dissolved in the spring. Right now, firefighters are only considered general public. While the associations continue to fight for change, training for current members on de-escalation is already underway.
Enhanced communication techniques. We work with LPS as a significant partner to ensure that they will respond in times of need. And the other thing that we do to ensure that our men and women, anytime they feel that they're in a violent situation, we ask themselves to remove them.
Chief Greg Adair says violence towards the department has trended down since 2023.
It does take another element that they have to have their head on a swivel, making sure that everything is safe so they can safely take care of the people.
Our job is to provide safety to the public and life-saving interventions, and if we're having to defend ourselves either verbally or physically, it makes that job very difficult. So we need the community to assist us in being able to do our job.
Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Now, we're told the increase in violence is due in part to population growth and a higher volume of medical calls due to substance use and addictions. Firefighters say the types of calls they're responding to are becoming more complex and behaviors much less predictable. First responders in Lethbridge are facing off to donate blood plasma for the 4th annual Sirens for Life campaign. Members from the Lethbridge Police Service are competing against the Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services. Donors can sign up to donate plasma under either team to take part in the donations. Canadian Blood Services says that 50 donors can help save one crash victim, with 5 donors supporting a heart surgery patient.
We're so grateful to have the support of all of our first responders. What we're trying to do is really engage the community to support us and to experience what you get when you give. It's not just about saving lives, but it's actually the difference that you're making and the impact that you're making in the community.
It is amazing that police and fire can partner, have a friendly competition to provide this critical service to the community.
To learn more or to sign up to donate, you can visit lethbridgeblood.ca. Danielle Savoni, it's a little bit colder out there, we're noticing these days.
Yeah, things are going to start to chill, especially as we go through later this week. So today and tomorrow will be the warmer days of the week, and we even have some instability out there as well. Look at this. You can see what's going on. We have these pockets of showers and thunderstorm activity, non-severe thunderstorm activity, but certainly coming with a little bit of lightning, some of these pockets, and a quick bout of heavy rain as they pass through. So that's in the forecast for the next couple of hours. We have that potential in all of the south for the next few hours before things quiet down for the night. 25 degrees is the temperature in Lethbridge. Again, we have the risk of a thunderstorm or at least some isolated showers. Again, 25 in Lethbridge, 23 in Medicine Hat, 22 in Milk River. It will actually get warmer tomorrow before things cool down for later this week. I'll show you that just ahead.
All right, thanks, Danielle. Town of Coaldale employees are locked out after the town and union failed to reach an agreement. Employees have taken to the picket line calling for a deal to be made. Quinn Keenan has more.
About 40 Town of Coaldale employees spent the day picketing outside Coaldale's town hall. After a year of negotiating, the two sides haven't been able to reach a deal. Employees have been locked out since Saturday after a 72-hour notice was issued by the town. The union voted to strike, but never went ahead with the strike action following the lockout.
We did not use that strike vote. Instead, the town took a lockout vote and used it as soon as they could. So they rushed to take their vote, and then they implemented it immediately.
The town says services for residents won't be impacted during the lockout. Mayor Jack Van Ryn said in a statement, Council is confident that residents will continue to receive the services they rely on. We have plans in place to maintain operations through a mix of exempt staff, contractors, and replacement workers. The town says it's offered a 17% raise over 4 years as part of its latest deal. But the union says that number is misleading.
So the 17 isn't actually 17 because what they've done is in our jobs we have a grid where every year you work, you move a step up on the grid. So their number of 17 actually includes those step ups that would have happened naturally anyway. So it's not the increase that they are saying it is.
The union believes they're close to reaching a deal. They claim their demands would add less than $80,000 to the town's budget annually.
We're not demanding that we get everything we ask for. The one big thing that's on the table is rollbacks, and those rollbacks amount to around $16,000 a year of savings for the town.
Town council says it's focused on Coaldale's financial security. Van Ryn said this impasse reflects a widening gap between public sector wage expectations and the economic realities of the broader community that ultimately pays the bill. Council's focus remains on protecting residents and ensuring Coaldale's long-term financial health. Quinn Keenan, CTV News, Coaldale.
Meanwhile, Air Canada flight attendants resoundingly rejected the company's latest wage offer on Saturday, with over 99% saying no. The rejected tentative deal raised wages for workers and established a pay structure for time worked when aircraft are on the ground. It included a 12% salary increase this year for most junior flight attendants and an 8% bump for senior members, followed by smaller raises in subsequent years. The wage issue will head to mediation and then arbitration if necessary. There will be no strike or lockout, meaning flights will continue operating. With no progress in the labor dispute between teachers and the province, parents and families remain in limbo over a potential strike or lockout. The Premier, though, wants teachers to return to the bargaining table. Danielle Smith says she hears concerns from teachers loud and clear and wants to find a way to make a fair deal. Smith says the province is addressing both wages as well as classroom complexity and class size. When it comes to salaries, she says the province is offering a 3% a year for 4 years, which she says is both competitive and a number the province can afford.
You know, I'm just ask taxpayers, are they seeing the same kind of pay increases? So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make sure that we're giving fair increases, but also ones that we can afford and that are consistent with what we're seeing in the broader market.
Talks broke down August 28th. The province voted in favor of a lockout August 29th. The Alberta Teachers Association has been in position to give 72-hour strike notice since June. University of Lethbridge is starting the new semester with a fresh new look. The new logo is a take on the iconic sun design with Indigenous elements. 4 key stone poles also represent the foundation of a teepee to reflect the university's Blackfoot roots. Planning for the new logo has been going on for about a year. Administration believes the new branding reflects the university's evolution and is designed for where it's headed.
It's a really exciting day, a milestone day for our community. We've had a feeling and a story in this city that really goes back to the early days and the citizens of Lethbridge really demanding this university.
So significant that we acknowledge that we reside on traditional Blackfoot territory. So for this brand, it was imperative that we acknowledge the land, but also Natusi, which is the teepee.
The new branding will be gradually rolled out throughout campus. Meantime, the White House may be forced to issue refunds for Donald Trump's tariffs if the Supreme Court upholds a ruling that would found them to be illegal.
So we would have to give a refund on about half the tariffs, which would be terrible for the Treasury.
And you're prepared to give those refunds?
Well, I mean, there's no be prepared. If the court says it, we'd have to do it.
The Trump administration has asked for a quick ruling on the legality of the reciprocal and fentanyl-related tariffs. If the Supreme Court upholds the ruling and half the tariffs are refunded, that means U.S. businesses that paid them will get some money back, even though they have already passed those costs on to consumers. The Chinook Regional Hospital Foundation's annual Christmas Tree Festival will be returning in November, but at a new location. The 31st annual event is moving away from the Visit Lethbridge.com arena to a larger space at the Agri-Food Hub and Trade Center. The new space will include more activities, including some ticketed experiences. The festival will feature a family day, seniors day, business day, and reduced sensory viewing, along with the annual gala and auction. Last year's event welcomed more than 3,500 guests and raised over $180,000 for the foundation. This year's festival runs from November 16th to the 19th. Well, Danielle Savoni is back right after this break with a 5-day forecast. Plus, Bow Island Emergencies Department is offering some expanded hours.
All right, Skycam is facing northwest. It's hazy, it's partly cloudy, and certainly thunderstorms dancing around all of southern Alberta at this point. It's certainly unstable. We'll talk about the radar in just a second. 24 degrees was the high in Calgary today. Today and tomorrow in all of southern Alberta, we're looking at some heat. We're going to lose that later this week, though, because the weather pattern is going to change quite a bit. 26 degrees was the high in Regina so far today, and much cooler off to the east. Look at that corridor, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, just highs of 19 out there today. Okay, so while we're mainly in the mid-20s, Lethbridge and through Brooks and Drumheller, Medicine Hat in the lower 20 area at 23 degrees, and again, Calgary at 24 degrees, Banff at 20. So a lot of 20s out there for southern Alberta. We'll be even a couple degrees warmer on average tomorrow. And we also have the potential for late day instability once again tomorrow. You can see what's happening. We have that development off in the foothills. It's tracking off, and this is the path right now off in the south end. So we have that potential for thunderstorm activity for the next couple of hours. I would say next 3 hours, and then things will quiet down for the night. There may be an isolated shower overnight, but really nothing to worry about in those overnight hours as things stabilize once again. But the instability returns again tomorrow. So here's a look at what's happening as we go through the rest of this evening. It quiets down. Tomorrow we'll have some sunshine. We may have some smoky conditions. I'm going to talk more about the smoke in just a second here, but I want to talk about activity first. When we get into later in the day tomorrow, specifically later around those supper hours and through the early evening hours, we have that potential once again for shower and thunderstorm activity. And then this arrives again Thursday morning when a system pushes in from the States. Okay, let's talk about smoke and air quality. It's not great right now. We are looking at moderate for the most part for most communities in especially the far south. This is going to start to lift out though as the winds start to shift directions. So for tomorrow, we're looking at better quality of air. We'll pop down to the low risk end of that air quality health index scale. But as you can see by Thursday, it might make its return and pop us back up to moderate. So clearing for tomorrow, back for Thursday. East Kootenay area, we're looking at the potential for thunderstorm activity again for those next few hours, and then that dies down for the overnight hours, and then it returns again later in the day tomorrow. 26 degrees for the high tomorrow. Crow's Nest Pass, 8 degrees overnight. Again, the chance of thunderstorm activity for these next few hours and then quieting down, and then that activity returns and may pop back into the area later in the day tomorrow with a high of 24 degrees. And for Medicine Hat, 10 degrees overnight tonight, maybe some isolated showers, smaller risk of any sort of thunderstorm activity late in the day tomorrow, but we are looking at a high of 30. So if you get that thunderstorm activity tomorrow, it may be quite a decent cell that will push through because we also have the heat to help intensify that for you. Okay, Lethbridge area, 29 degrees for tomorrow, so it's a hot one tomorrow. And again, we get into that chance of late day showers, but likely for the Lethbridge area, if that happens, it won't be till about 7 p.m. Then we start to cool down for the week, 26 for Wednesday, and then showers arrive for Thursday and Friday, and by then we'll get back into those lower 20s.
Wyland Health Centre is expanding its emergency department hours. Alberta Health Services says the department's hours are being expanded from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Mondays through Thursdays, and then open from 7 a.m. Friday through Monday to 8 p.m. Now, the facility is continuing to search to provide enough staff for 24-hour coverage 7 days a week, but they are not quite there yet. With school back in session, flu season is not far behind. Health officials are sharing 5 tips to keep kids healthy as they return to class. Topping the list is maintaining good hygiene through hand washing or bringing sanitizer to school. And with the flu, COVID, and measles all posing risks to kids' health, vaccines are highly recommended. When it comes to youth mental health, head pediatricians recommend the importance of limiting screen time to 2 hours max.
Families are always struggling, and it's tough. So we give this advice, and we really hope that people take it to heart, especially getting enough sleep, getting enough exercise, limiting screen time. Those are really important things for everyone.
Doctors say kids should be eating 3 meals a day and getting exercise through PE class, walking or cycling to school, or extracurricular sports. When it comes to sleep, 9 to 12 hours of sleep per night is the recommendation for kids, while teens, they need at least 8 hours. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, condolences continue to pour in for the late, great Ken Dryden. Lethbridge Hurricanes continue their preseason campaign over the weekend. They hit the road for a matchup with the Medicine Hat Tigers. Now, the Canes' first road game of the preseason did not go their way. They allowed the first 2 goals and were never able to get back into it. They fall to the Tigers the second time this preseason, 4-2. Lethbridge is back in action on Friday. The Pronghorns and Kodiak soccer teams were back on the pitch this weekend. It was a tough start for the weekend for the Pronghorns women's team as they take a 3-1 loss to the University of Saskatchewan Huskies. The men's game would end in a 1-1 tie. Sunday, the men's team took a 3-1 win over the McEwen Griffins, while the women suffered their second loss of the weekend, losing 10-0 against the Huskies. In ACAC action, the men's team opened their season with a dominant 4-1 win over Olds College. The women's team also started their season on the right foot with a 4-0 win. Sunday, the men's team would record a 1-1 tie against Red Deer Polytechnic, while the women suffered their first loss of the season against the Red Deer Queens. Prime Minister Mark Carney remembering legendary Montreal Canadiens goalie and former Member of Parliament Ken Dryden today. Dryden passed away on Friday at the age of 78, remembered as a hockey icon playing with the Montreal Canadiens from 1971 to 1979, winning the Stanley Cup 6 times, and Canada's winning goalie in the 1972 Summit Series against Russia. Dryden was also a lawyer, a sports executive, and a politician, serving as a Liberal MP from 2004 to 2011, and as Minister of Social Development in former Prime Minister Paul Martin's cabinet.
And I remember he used to talk about big Canada, and Ken Dryden, he was big Canada. He was in many respects, bigger than us in his hockey, in his career, but he was big Canada, and he was best Canada.
Longtime Canadiens goalie Carey Price writing on social media, "With a heavy heart, I extend my deepest condolences to the Dryden family. Thank you, Mr. Dryden, for your service not only as a Canadian, but also as a Canadian. You helped me as a young goaltender, and I will always be grateful for your thoughtful words of encouragement." Dryden's funeral plans have yet to be announced. 10 Canadians are en route to South Korea for the World Archery Championships, including one from Edmonton. This is recurve archer Aaron Cox. It's his first trip to the World Championships and his first time making the national team since 2019. The Worlds are the second biggest tournament in the sport next to the Olympics. Cox has been hooked on the sport since receiving a recurve bow for his 12th birthday. Good luck. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, the story of one very determined bear when we come back. If you thought fencing was the perfect solution to keeping animals out of your yard, I guess it depends on the fence and the animal. This bear was seen breaking a wooden fence to get into a backyard at a home in Port Coquitlam, BC. His determination eventually pays off. The bear manages to pull off a piece of the panel and then squeeze into the newly made hole, showing that this animal is perhaps smarter than, you guessed it, your average bear. A playful duo stole the show at a golf tournament in Golden, BC this weekend. CTV viewer Garrett LeJanes captured video of two gregarious black bear cubs frolicking and wrestling near the 18th hole. We're told the cubs are about 2 years old and they were born on or near the course, so golfers took a break while these two just played on. Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.